Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Making sure everyone can hear me out there. If you can hear me and you are here, let me know in the chat. Woo, sorry about that. So if you are here for this live stream, please let me know. I wasn't sure how many people signed up for it or how many people are following this one, but I'm here. If you are in the chat, let me know. And if it's people that I see that I can trust, I'll mod you up just in case any trolls show up. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to show up here for this live stream. It won't be a long one. It'll only probably be about a half hour or so, but I wanted to make sure some people are here first before I get started. Let me fix my camera here. Let's see. So let me check on my actual YouTube channel here. Make sure we are working. Let's see. Okay, so like I said, if you're here, just let me know in the comments, and not the comments, but the actual chat. Let me know that you're here. Let me type in here. So, and I'll share a link on my other channel so people know where I'm at and what's going on here. Like I said, I don't want to spend too much time on this. This is basically just answering probably one of the biggest questions that I get from a lot of young artists out there. They always ask me, is it worth going to an art school? And they ask me, is it worth, spending the money or getting a loan or whatever and going to art school and getting a career in art that way? So I came in. Can you let me know? Can you hear me fine in the chat? If you can hear me, just let me know. But yeah, people always ask me, "Hey, Chris, is it you went to an art school? Is it worth it?" And I'll let you guys know, is it worth it? And especially now, I'm going to give you my actual opinion based on what I went through and what is going on nowadays as far as being an artist going to any of these schools. Okay, and I'm going to talk about them specifically. So let me just give you my experience for those who don't know. I went to the Art Institute back in the late 90s. So I graduated from high school in 1998, and I didn't waste any time as far as waiting until the summer was over to start school because I wanted to start as soon as possible. So I signed up for the summer semester at the Art Institute in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So yeah, I decided that hello, Designs by Regina, and hello, Cats. So I decided to just go ahead and start going to art school. I went to the Art Institute in Fort Lauderdale, Florida in the summer of 1998. Okay, so that shows you how long ago that was, and it'll give you an idea of how old I am. Okay, and I was 17 at the time. Okay, I was very young from graduating from high school. That's just the way that's because I started school a little bit earlier than most. So I was still 17 years old when I graduated from high school, and I was 17 when I started the Art Institute. Okay, so and I went there from summer of 98 till fall of 2001. I actually graduated a week after the terrorist attack of 9/11. So that, that should also give you an indicator of how old I am and how long ago I went to art school. Okay. and that gives you a good timeline based on those actual events. Okay, some of you probably weren't even in high school yet. You know, I meet kids all the time that weren't even in high school yet, or weren't even in middle school yet when I was getting out of college. Okay, so I went there from the summer of '98 to 2001, and I was unique in that I took a full course load for my entire time there. I think maybe the last quarter I decided to thanks Contrail. It's a Chris Crazy House hat. Uh, I took a full course load from those for those years that I went to the Art Institute. So I took 5 classes each quarter. Like I said, I was trying to get done as soon as possible. So I took as many classes as I could, and as many that were required at the time. So, and I wanted to get all the nonsense out of the way so I can concentrate on my major, which was computer animation at the time, or I think the degree is called Media Arts and Animation. Okay, and that it was a bachelor's degree. So I got the highest degree that you could get at the Art Institute at that time. Okay, they didn't have a master's program at that time. Okay, so I went there for those years, and like I said, I took a full course load. And those last maybe that last year I didn't have a full course load because I took the elective of doing an internship, and I got an internship my last year at the Art Institute. So I had an internship working for this company called Exodus Entertainment, doing their Flash animation and their web animation for that last year. So that counted towards my course load, just doing that internship, and it was a paid internship. I didn't get paid a lot, but when you're broke and in college and just getting started out, $150 a week is pretty damn good. Okay, so I wasn't complaining. All right, so and at that point, I had made the decision that I was not going to leave South Florida. I was going to stay there, find a job somewhere if I could, but I wasn't going back home to New Jersey. I made that decision that I'm not going to go back home and try to be living up under my mom or my grandma's roof or whatever. Okay, so I decided I was going to make it on my own. Come hell or high water, whatever came, I was going to do it on my own. Okay, so I went to this art school. I remember graduating that September of 2001, and it was a weird time to graduate because, like I said, the terrorist attacks had just happened. So there was a lot of weird stuff going on. Like I wasn't sure if that caused, like there was a lot going on. There's the terrorist attacks, but as far as my industry goes, the .com bubble had burst. So what I mean by that, for those who don't know what that is there are a lot of .coms that were popping up because that was very popular at that time, the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. A lot of these companies were popping up doing cartoons online. There was uh, what were some of the ones I'm trying to think of? Newgrounds was a big one, but there was like a bunch of companies that were around during that time that you have no idea where they are now. Okay, they just disappeared. Okay, even Stan Lee, he had a company that produced Flash cartoons too as well. I remember. 'Cause I remember I got a chance to meet him at a comic book convention when he was launching those Flash cartoons online. He didn't do it himself, obviously. He just lent his name to it. I think he wrote some of the scripts or whatever. But there are people producing the Flash animation for those series that he put out. Yeah, I remember that very well. But there's a lot of that going on, and like I said, that 2001 is when a lot of those things started to collapse financially. Okay, because there was no real financial backing. It was based on that was also based kind of almost on speculation. People just assumed it was going to make money, so they're putting money into it. And then when no money was showing up for ad revenue, people hadn't really figured out how to make money on the internet per se. So a lot of that stuff was collapsing at the time. Okay, this was pre YouTube. There was no YouTube back then. Okay, so uh, I graduated during that time, and the skill set that I had, I enjoyed doing cartoons on my own. I was already doing my own animation, not just for like I had to produce a demo reel, obviously for uh, to graduate from the Art Institute. But at that time, I was also just producing my own stuff just because. That's the one thing I want to impart to a lot of young artists and a lot of young people out there that if you if you're serious about this and you think that this is something you want to do, you need to show that that's what you want to do. And what I mean by that is if you are someone that wants to get into the comic book industry, you need to be producing your own comic books immediately. Like, don't, there's no point in you wasting time and thinking that you need a degree to do so. Even before you get the degree, you need to produce something on your own. The same thing with animation. You don't need a degree really to produce animation. So, like I said, there's no way you're not like licensed to do so. If once you learn how to do something, you need to start doing it. And once I learned how to do Flash animation, like maybe my second year in the Art Institute, I was producing my own cartoons just for the hell of it. Okay, I enjoyed making myself laugh and making my friends laugh, and they were very crude. They weren't perfect, but I was producing something. I was actually getting some stuff out there. So go ahead and when you if you're determined to do this, start doing it as soon as possible. You don't need a degree to start producing content. Okay, and now with all the outlets nowadays, like I wish I had the outlets back then that you guys have now, because I would have just wouldn't have wasted time trying to get work at certain places. You know what I mean? So once I graduated, I had the internship. That company was starting to go out of business. Exodus Entertainment. They were doing some stuff with video games, and I remember we worked on some stuff for the Kennedy family, some concept that they had, and we worked on some other cartoons for this like kids library or whatnot. But things weren't going good for that. Okay, so I had to find a job quick, and I graduated, and I graduated in September, and by October I started getting interviews as far as finding work. Okay, and our institute did help with that. Now this is something that's a little controversial because it's not. I can't say that means you need to go to the art institute because they'll find you work. This has to do with the person that was working at the art institute at the time that helped me find work. That's what I'm. You understand what I'm saying? It has to do more with if you have a reliable person working in your that department that helps you find work later on, that tries to push you out there. Okay, if you don't have that type of person who knows out there, who knows how to go find jobs and how to link kids up, link up students with jobs, then you're not going to be able to find stuff. But it helps if you're industrious at that time as well. Because the way I was able to get my first job at this corporation, I think it was called Crimson Media. I was able to get that job because I had produced my own animation at the time, and I knew how to produce uh, short animation for the web and for the internet. And they had a project that was coming up that needed to be done. So I got the job in October. The job needed to be done. The cartoon needed to be done by like November or something like that, like November 17th, I think. And they knew that I knew how to do that, so that's how I got the job. And I gotta tell you, I've gotten throughout my career, I've gotten several jobs like that where they need something produced in a crunch time, and because I know how to produce, even if I don't know how I'm going to necessarily get there, I'll say yes and just produce something by that time. And that's usually how I've gotten a lot of jobs over time. That the recent job that I have now, where I did the that book Big Monty and the Lunatic Lunch Lady, I got that job based on the fact that they have put out the first chapter of the book to several different artists to see if they could find someone that could produce their book for them. And I went ahead and illustrated the whole first page. Okay, I didn't just send them samples of my work, or I didn't just send them uh, maybe a character drawing or something like that. I actually just illustrated the first scene in the book and sent it to them and said that this is what I could do for you guys. And I got the job that way. So, and like I did that overnight. Like I did that. I found out about it that day. And before I went to bed, like I told my wife, I'm going to stay up for a little bit and finish this. So like within from like 7:30 to like 11 o'clock, I produced that first page from drawing to inking to everything else and sent it to him. And that's how I got that job. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. If you can produce and you can show people that you can produce and that you're professional enough to do so, that does help you get a lot of work. I'm not saying go out there and do free work for people, but if you can show that you can produce something, that helps a lot. That goes a long way. Okay. So That's how I got my very first job when I was right out of school. It was a company called Crimson Media. I thought I was living it up because I was getting paid pretty well for back then. I was getting paid $30,000 a year, and this is right out of college, so that's almost unheard of. It was a job with full benefits, full medical benefits, and it was in a pretty prestigious area. It was like in downtown Miami. It was in the Hewlett Packard building and everything like that. So it was pretty good, right? So that's how I got my first job in the industry. And the Art Institute, like I said, helped a little bit that they kind of put me there, but I'm the one that kind of took the ball and ran it all the way. So that's what I would say about that. Uh, and these schools, that doesn't mean they always can get you work, and that didn't work for everybody, even in my own class. Okay, most of the people I know that went to our institute aren't doing what they went there for. There are some people who have kind of made it through, but those people made it through perseverance. Like there are people that I know who work at Blizzard that produce the World of Warcraft games and stuff like that. There are people that I know who have done work for Nintendo. There are people I know who have done work for Nickelodeon and Warner Brothers Studios. Yes, but they got there through their own perseverance. It wasn't really the Art Institute. They had that dream, and that kind of started them off on that. But they had to persevere to get those jobs. Okay, they didn't just get that job because they went to the Art Institute. In fact, these Art Institutes and Full Sails and some of these other schools are not even accredited at all, so they don't really go towards anything as far as helping you get a job. And really, the industry doesn't care about that. The only schools I could recommend out there that the industry might take a look at that and say, oh, he went to this school, so that means he might be a good fit for our company is Savannah College of Art and Design, or SCAD as it's called, Ringling School for Animation, and Cal Arts. Those are the only three schools I can think of that an employer will look at and be like, oh, this kid went there, he should work for us. Other than that, a lot of these other places that claim that they can help you get jobs or whatever, like I said, Full Sail, Art Institute, they're not really anything that I can say that can guarantee you getting a job. Okay. Uh, so I will say to you guys this: in this day and age, I cannot fully recommend you going to one of these for profit trade art schools now to get a job. If you want to work in the industry, I can only say if you can get into one of these bigger schools, then go there. If you get into Ringling or Cal Arts or SCAD, that might help you. And like I said, even that's not a guarantee 100%, but it helps towards your overall appeal to these companies. But as far as uh, but this is what I want to impart to you guys. I hope you guys can understand this. If you want to create your own animation or you want to create your own comic books, you don't need a degree to do that. You need basic knowledge of how to produce maybe certain things, but you don't need to go to an art school if that's what you want to do. And not necessarily do you need an art school or a degree to get into the animation or comic book industry. You need to show that you have the talent and the will and the ability to produce. Most of your most famous comic book artists only got their job originally because they none of them started out perfect. Okay, a lot of them have their jobs because they show that they could produce and get the job done. Okay, that's how they usually start you off, is on something small, and if you can get and you can meet your deadlines. Okay, same thing with animation. If you show that you can do the job and meet your deadlines, then that helps you getting the job. It also helps with who you know, because that's who's going to put you in a spot, is when you network with other people. Okay, so if you're putting your work out there, you're going to conventions, meeting new people, or you're going to show, if you're like me, you make animated films and you show them at film festivals and whatnot. That helps you network with other people, and people see your work. That helps you get work later on. Okay, I entirely survived in Atlanta during the 2009 economic downturn, basically because uh, I went to Atlanta and I showed my work at different at film festivals, but also those they're like these animation groups like Antifa and what's the other one? I can't remember off the top of my head. They're like they're like these different groups of animators in that area that they just showcase their work to each other or whatever. So I do that, and once I showed my work there, I started meeting other people that helped me get work later on. Like I met this guy called named Brett, and he wound up he was an animator in that area, a local animator, but he wound up getting a job for Google. And by that happening, he wound up passing all his work on to me because he couldn't do it. But he said there's this guy, Chris Miller, who's actually pretty talented. You should use him to do your project. So that's how I got a lot of work, just simply because he liked my work. A fellow animator liked my work, and he couldn't do it himself. He had other things to do. So just through that networking, that helped me get work. Okay, so that's what I want to impart on to you folks is you don't necessarily need these degrees. And like I said, these degrees cost so much money nowadays. I'll tell you the straight up truth. I paid $38,000 for my degree in the 90s. Okay, and that was a lot of money back then. Nowadays, you could wind up paying. They want you to pay like $100,000, almost 80 to $100,000 for a bachelor's degree, which is insane to me. Especially when they can't guarantee that you're going to get work. They say they can, but that's no actual guarantee that you're actually going to get work. Okay, don't believe the hype. So to me, it's like they're saying, uh, they're going to put you into a certain career path, but there's no guarantee that you're going to get in there. Okay, they got all these four colleges and these for-profit colleges and trade schools telling you they're going to teach you how to create video games. You don't need them. Okay, if you can learn how to do uh, nonsense on YouTube, just go find some tutorials on YouTube or some other place, learn that stuff, and go ahead and do it. Kat asked, "Are there any certifications you can get instead of a degree?" Yes, there are. There like and that's usually for, in my opinion, the only thing that works for is programming. Like if you want to learn a certain programming language and then you want to get a certification for that, that can help you get work. But even that's usually like a course that you only need to take for a few weeks. That's not, you don't need to go get a degree for that. You know what I mean? Like there's courses, or you can get certified with Unreal engines and stuff like that if you want to learn how to use a certain type of engine to create video games. If you want to learn to, like I said, some sort of programming language like C++ or something like that, or JavaScript, you can get certified in those things. But even that's not necessary. If you can show that you know how to do it, then that's what it is. You know what I mean? There's really no one's going to say, "Oh, where's your certification?" And unless you're like at one of these bigger companies, like if you're at like Microsoft or Apple, then yeah, they're going to want to say, "Well, where's your app certification?" You know what I'm saying? But if you're at getting jobs on the ground level at some smaller companies, they're really not going to look at it and say, "Oh, you don't have your like I've never had someone say, Chris, you don't have your Flash action script certification. You can't work here." When I showed that I can actually do the action script and do the Flash animation, you're like, "Oh, okay, here, come on in." You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. It's like you don't. Some of these small companies, you don't need that. Like if you're working at a major corporation that says we require that, then yeah. But most people don't require that. Another question is, what about software programs to help you learn? I use SketchUp and AutoCAD to learn drafting. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, and you can learn whatever program you want to use that. Whatever, let me say this, whatever tool helps you achieve your goal, then use that. I use Adobe Flash and Adobe, it's called Adobe Animate now, but I've been using that for years to produce animation, comic books, ads, everything under the sun. And that's just because it's a tool that I like. Okay. I've never really been into Photoshop. I really don't like the way Photoshop operates. I know how to use it. I've used it before, but I just don't like how it works. Like I like the versatility of Flash more, or I keep calling it Flash. It's not Flash anymore. It's Adobe Animate, and I like the versatility of other programs like uh, Sketchbook. Sketchbook is a good program that I like to draw with. I rather use that than Photoshop. Yeah, a lot of those Adobe products are expensive. Like the only reason I even have Adobe Animate now is because it's a subscription based program, which in some ways works, in some ways it doesn't. But for me, it works so far so good. Okay, so I pay like a $25 a month subscription to that for to Adobe, and I can use their program any way I want to. Okay, so a lot of those programs now are subscription based, which I find weird that you can't buy them anymore. Yeah, Sketchbook is a good program. I enjoy Sketchbook a lot. That like when you see me drawing, if you're seeing my drawings on screen, that's usually what I'm using a Sketchbook, and I just record it on my Mac. So and Sketchbook, I think is I'm not sure if it's free now or if that's also a subscription. I can't remember. I don't remember paying for the like I have an older version, so I got the update for free. So I'm not sure if you have to pay for the new one or not. So that's what I'm saying. Like I have an older version of the program, so I just updated it on my new computer and I haven't had to pay for anything. So I don't know if it's you would have to tell me. But one good thing about Sketchbook is they added in a new feature on there for doing animation, which I find funny because I was using Sketchbook to do animation, but I would have to export my drawings as a image sequence in order for me to do animation. But now they have it right built into their program, which I find funny. So I like that. I'm glad they did that. You say the Adobe subscription model is a total ripoff. I somewhat agree about that. I think it's kind of a weird thing that they do that. And I was trying to figure out like why is that? Like why do I have to do it that way? But that's the way they want to roll. Like I still have an older version of Flash that doesn't require a subscription, but in order for me to do certain things, like I have to have it. What's a good sketch pad? You have a large screen to sketch on. I have a Wacom tablet. Okay, so it's an Intuos Wacom tablet that I use. I don't have the one where you actually draw on the screen. That's like the model that comes up for mine. But I'm just used to using the Wacom tablet. A lot of people use that still. Like a lot of artists that are my age still use the Wacom tablet, which is funny. Like what's the sister's name? Afua Richardson. She's a very popular comic book artist. She just showed on her social media that she had to finally get rid of her Wacom tablet, and she was kind of like sending it off and giving it a send off because she had used it for so long. But like I'm the same way. I still use mine, and mine's a newer version though. Like I had the older one, and I bought a new one uh, not too long ago, maybe 5 years ago. So mine's fairly new. It's not, so it's not going to wear out anytime soon. Yeah, I've seen a lot of programs changing to subscription based, which like I said, I don't understand. I guess they think that's cheaper for the consumer, or they're going to get more consumers that way. But I don't know. Like I said, to me, I enjoy being able to buy the program and just use it that way. And like I've had to even kind of jerry rig this Adobe Animate to make sure it saves on my hard drive and not try to save to their Adobe Cloud or whatever. I don't need my stuff on their cloud. It's okay for it to stay on my computer or for it to stay on my external hard drive. They keep trying to want me to get all this other stuff. Like it's cool that they give you little tutorials and stuff like that. Like I do enjoy that part of it to get to learn like new facets of the program and whatnot. But I mean, they could have still done that without having a subscription as well. Okay, so like I said, it's weird to me, and sometimes it gets weird. Like if I leave the program on and I don't shut it off, and I try to go back to it, it gets real glitchy. It never did that when I just bought the program and had it on my hard drive. But if I just leave it on and I'm not using it, like if I'm using it, it works fine. But if I have it like open and I'm not using it, and then I try to come back to it, it starts getting glitchy to where like literally certain buttons just don't work anymore. It's like that makes no sense. Like is it constantly updating? Is it constantly being rendered or whatever? It's like it makes no sense to me. So it's weird how it works that way. Yeah, you effectively never own the software, but you're paying for it forever. Yeah, it's ridiculous, and I don't understand why. I guess they thought they were getting more customers by doing that, But to me, it's just weird. Like I said, I miss the old days where you just buy something on a disc and download it and put it on your computer. You know what I mean? Like it's I've been using Flash since it was created by Macromedia. If anyone remembers Macromedia, like they had a whole bunch of programs, and then Adobe bought them, and Adobe started overcharging for the program, and then they started changing and messing with the program, and now they have it subscription based, which is stupid. But sometimes you can't fight these folks. But I mean, there's other programs out there. You don't have to use Flash. Toon Boom is a good program. Here's the issue I have with Toon Boom. Okay, is the fact that that also was a program that used to be affordable for everybody, and then it became popular. The industry starts using something, and then all of a sudden they start overcharging for it. And I was like, you just forgot about the little people and the young people who were using your program before that made it popular, that the industry even took notice of it. Now they can't actually afford it, and I hate when they do stuff like that. Uh, there's Anime Studio, which is actually not bad. I'm trying to think if there's another one. There's another animation program that I heard was good, but I haven't tried it yet, so I can't speak on it, but I've heard of it. There's different animation programs you can use to help yourself, and if you want to make things, uh, make your own artwork or animation that way. Like there's what's the brother's name? Uh, Marcus Williams. He does a lot of really cool black characters and black artwork. He did the Tuskegee Air, yeah, the Tuskegee Airs comic book. He uses Painter, I believe. So there are some people who enjoy using Painter. I learned the program, but I never got into it. Okay, so for me, it was never something that I really enjoyed using. You guys, that's what I want to impart to you guys. Use whatever tools you're comfortable with. You can learn new things, but uh, whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you can produce with, that's what you go forward with. You don't feel you need a certain program in order for you to progress. And I see a lot of artists, especially a lot of young artists, do that where they say, "Well, I want to make my own comics, but I gotta get this program first, or I want to produce animation, or I want to do this. But what program do you use? Is it, I want to use this program. You don't waste time doing that because that's just you talking yourself out of producing what you want to produce. Okay, that's you talking yourself, literally talking yourself out of possible greatness. Okay, if you got a pencil and some paper, you can produce. Okay, there are still plenty of artists, especially a lot of the ones in Japan that do manga and stuff like that, who just use pencil and paper. Okay, they're not using any type of fancy programs. They're not using Manga Studio or whatever. They're just using some paper that they got out of for that you use it for a printer and are producing comic books. And there are a lot of people doing that on the web as well. Whatever you're comfortable with, use that. I've seen people flip Microsoft Paint and do their own projects that way. You know what I mean? So whatever you want to take and use that. Whatever you're comfortable with, use that. Don't don't waste time thinking you need to have a certain thing or a certain program to produce what you want to produce. Okay. Uh, the animator Don Hertzfeld makes stick figures and wins awards animating stick figures. Okay, whatever you want to use that. One of my animation idols, Bill Plimpton, still uses pencil and paper and color pencils to do animated features. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Like, and he just uses like an old camera. I think he digitizes that stuff now, but he was just filming that stuff on a camera and making animated films that way. Whatever you feel works for you, use that. Okay. One of the reasons I only like using the digital tablet is because I can save my work a lot faster. That way, I don't have to scan it in or take a picture of it. So that it kind of cuts the step away. That's the only reason I started using it in the first place because I don't have to scan my animation anymore to draw over it. I can just draw right in the computer and it's there ready to go. But you gotta make sure you save it because if you don't save it, it's lost forever. Okay. So when you save your work, always make backups and everything like that. So that's all I want to impart to you guys is that and at this stage, I cannot recommend you going to art school because it costs way too much money. And I don't want to see more people going into debt just to get a degree that's not going to do anything for them anyway. If you want, first of all, you have to decide what you want to do if you really want a job in the industry, like do you want a job working for these big companies, or do you want to just produce your own artwork and animation? If you're like me who just wants to produce his own stuff, go do it. Don't wait to You don't need a degree for that. Okay, you learn the software, learn a program, up your skills in drawing by practicing. That's the secret to being a better artist. Just practice every day. Okay, you'll get better. Uh, the but if you want a job in the industry, even that you don't really need a degree for. You need to show that you can produce whatever you're trying to get into. You show that you can make comic books, show that you can make a video game, show that you can uh, produce an animation, and do that, and you'll get there. You'll get there a lot faster than trying to make a portfolio and knock on the door and say, "Well, you guys let me in." And show your work out there, get connections, and you'll find work. Most of the people I know in the industry got their job based on doing their own thing, and people saw their work and they said, "Hey, would you like to come work on this with us?" And that's pretty much most of the jobs I've gotten. Okay, people saw my work, saw my animation, saw my artwork, and said, "Hey, Chris, you want to come do this for me?" And I'm pretty much like, "Well, how much you paying?" So that's pretty much how it works. So no one really, I've never had anyone ask me about my degree. I'll just be honest about that. I have a bachelor's degree in animation. I've never had anyone ask me what kind of degree you have. Okay, they don't give a damn. Can you produce it? Can you make this? Can you make it happen for us? Yes, I can, and I put it out there and do that, and I've been rolling ever since. Okay, so if you uh if you do that, if that's what you want to do, then that's the way really to get there. And there's no real secret per se, but that's what it is. Like if you want to produce on your own, go do that. Just do it. Don't waste time. Don't talk yourself out of it. Find something a program you're comfortable with, or find a medium you're comfortable with, and do that. Don't waste time talking yourself out of it. You can do it. Okay. If you just want to do film, get a camera, start shooting. That's pretty much the real thing. And you learn by doing and making mistakes. You do better the next time. If you keep doing it, you'll do better. Okay. Same thing with if you want to work in the industry. Don't be put off, because I've been rejected by some of the biggest and the best. Okay. Don't be put off by being rejected. You might be rejected one year and get a job the next year. Okay. All your famous artists that work in the comic book industry were rejected at one time. Okay. Jim Lee was rejected at one time. Just keep that in mind. Jim Lee was rejected by DC Comics, and now he's one of the co-chairs and is running DC Comics nowadays. So that's what I'm saying. Don't be put off by the fact that you can be rejected. That's going to happen. That's just the way the industry works. Uh, Usually persistence, and you might find a back way in. You might be able to just knock the door down some other way, and you'll get in there. Okay. And like I said, there's everyone gets rejections. That's just the nature of the business. Don't be put off by that. Okay. That's why I would say you should be producing your own work anyway, because that way you're not so worried about rejection. That's why I never cared about rejection, because I was producing my own stuff anyway. So I was going to get it however I could. Okay. Even if I couldn't get a job at this major company, I'm still producing my own work elsewhere, and it's going to be seen by somebody. That's really, when you really think about it, and you stop obsessing over these mainstream companies. What you really want is for other people to see your work. That's what you want, right? And at this point, with the internet, with books that you can print on demand, with all types of cheap software and tutorials you can get, you can produce your own content and give it out to the people. The hardest part maybe is getting it to them, and getting it to them in a wide way. But look what I've accomplished with the Naturally Cute coloring book series. Okay. That's all produced by me, and I have it printed out and put it on Amazon, and it's been pretty profitable for me ever since. Okay. I'm producing more because this has been it's done so well for me. Okay. I get a royalty check every month. That's pretty damn good. And I haven't looked back since. Okay. So you can produce on your own. You don't need to wait for a degree or other people's approval. You don't have to wait. I didn't waste my time trying to go through all these major publishers trying to get my coloring book published because I knew just by the subject matter of doing black girls with their natural hair, they were going to look at me like I was crazy. No one's going to want to do that. But now that I put it out on my own and it's become successful, now you see there's people out there trying to imitate and copy and bite. So uh, I wasn't trying so hard to get uh, mainstream's approval. It worked for me just go ahead and doing it myself and producing it and putting it out there. There was a learning curve for me learning how to publish a book on my own, to just make sure I get everything the right size. But once I got past that, it was out there. So trial and error, and Amazon has lots of good tutorials on helping you learn and how to use their templates and how their system works. So just keep putting it out, and you'll get there someday. The best way to learn is to do it. Don't wait. Don't talk yourself out of it, because when you do that, you're gonna be looking back saying, "Man, I wish I had the time back then. I wish I put some time into produce my own stuff." So that's what I wanted to impart to you guys. I hope this was a helpful live stream. I'll be doing more live streams talking about art and animation later on this channel and this channel only. So if you want to learn more, please subscribe. If you just want to see my artwork and my animation, please subscribe to this channel. I would very much appreciate it. If you want to buy my coloring books, you can always go to Amazon. Go to amazon.com/author/Chris Crazy House, or if you just look up Naturally Cute Coloring Books, my coloring books will pop up. Let's see what else. And always, if you are so inclined, go to my website at chriscrazyhouse.com. And there are some free coloring pages on there right now that you can go download and color for yourself. Okay, just go on the page, download, click them, and download them to your computer, and you can print them out yourself and color them yourself. Okay, so, and for those who are going to be in the Atlanta area this month, at the end of this month of August, I will be there for Onyx Con, and I will autograph anything you want to get from me. If you want to buy it there and have me autograph it, or if you already bought it and you want me to autograph it for you, I'll be there willing to do so. Okay. So that's all I wanted to say, guys. I appreciate you all showing up. I appreciate you all being here, the ones that watch this, and hopefully this channel will grow and we'll have more people here asking some more questions for art and animation. If you have any suggestions, feel free to send them to me. If you send them to chriscrazyhouse@gmail and ask the questions, I'll try my best to answer them here on this live stream. Anyway, folks, thanks for showing up, and I appreciate you all. And make sure you subscribe to this channel to see more art and animation. Anyway, Chris Crazy House signing out. Peace.